Um, Last year when I took over the role, well, I'm still in an interim status, and maybe that'll be finalized sometime at the president's will, but took over last year and wanted to share with you that last year we had about 12 contacts related to, in the Title IX office. And so that was between the fall and the spring semesters. And some were simply, well, I guess there's nothing simple about Title IX, but some were preliminary or informal investigations, but there never was a formal investigation. And if you need any kind of clarification about what the differences are, then you know where to find me. But I just wanted to let you know about that. But even if the issue didn't qualify as an incident that would be investigated, we always provided resources and support. So that is one of the requirements of the Title IX program, of the Title IX coordinator. And so when we have students in need, and we have students in need, I mean, you know that, you are on the front lines, then that's what we want to do, is provide them with resources and support. And that comes in many different ways. That can be, guiding them towards counseling through either our counseling services office or through the chaplain's office, or even through, we have a partnership with Pickens County Advocacy Center, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We have several employees serving in roles in Title IX. We have people that serve on the Title IX committee. Some of you are here today, thank you, and also as investigators. And I also want to give a special shout out to Dr. Bruce Gay. He was able to provide us with some investigative interview techniques or training back in December, and we're grateful for that. We also were able to engage or attend a couple off-campus workshops, free workshops, okay, free. I'm always looking for free, so if anything ever runs across your email inbox that you think I might be interested in as it relates to Title IX and helping train up our people that serve in those roles, I'd appreciate it. And this is also my opportunity to ask you if you have any expertise in any particular areas that might relate to sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual violence, gender discrimination, trauma-informed care, even student engagement, then I would value you as a resource for training also. So please, again, contact me anytime if you can offer any of that type of training for our people that serve in those roles. So let me talk to you again a little bit more about what we call PCAC. That's Pickens County Advocacy Center. We have an essential partnership with them that was established by Dr. Justin Carter when he served as the Title IX coordinator. And they are a private nonprofit community agency. They receive grant funding and donations, and they offer free counseling and support to victims of sexual assault. But they will take pretty much any call, but that is their specialty. So they're located in Easley, but they have an office at Clemson, in the city of Clemson, and they also have an office one day a week on Tuesdays while classes are in session here at SWU in the Academic Records Suite. I know I put that information out there periodically through SWU News, but I'm glad to have that opportunity to remind you guys because, well, we'll back up a little bit, but there might be the occasion where you want to, point somebody in that direction. We'll talk about that again a little bit down the road here. So one of the things I also wanted to share with you is how many of you heard the buzz like late last year about Department of Education's proposed changes to Title IX rules? So there was, okay, some of you are federal regulatory geeks, right? Oh, okay. In November last year, the Department of Education announced some major proposed changes to Title IX rules. In addition to they had previously rescinded some of the Obama-era guidelines, and those have been in effect for a little while now. Now they had a public comment period, which is something they always do, apparently. Again, I'm not a federal regulatory geek like some of you. They have a public comment period, and that ended in January. CCCU institutions, of which SWU is one, put their efforts together and asked their institutions to send DOE their comments, and they provided, some templates, but each institution customized that. So we did that as well. And as did much of higher education, and also, I mean, Title IX, as it relates to gender discrimination, sexual assault prevention, that doesn't just impact higher ed, of course, as you all know. Some of you are educators have been educators in the K-12 realm, and it applies there as well. So across the board, educational organizations all over sending comments. So some of the areas of concern, well, right now, we're in a waiting period. It's a holding pattern. We can guess what maybe they would change, but we don't know for sure. And with so many things being in flux, in the administration in the White House and DOE, then we just don't know when that would go into effect. But there's a likelihood that it could be published as law by the end of this year, and then we would have about a year to become compliant. So we have time. So some of the areas of concern that relate to Title IX, just again, this is all purely for information. It's not anything that you have to do about this. It's not unless you are serving in a particular role within Title IX. But areas of concerns include proposals that have the potential to increase the barriers to reporting, especially the concept of live hearings. So much like a courtroom, so where you would have the claimant and the respondent, together, or possibly maybe in separate rooms, but with the technology to create kind of a live setting, along with advisors, which there is a concern, then that lawyers would become involved. So then people would be lawyering up. So it kind of changes, it elevates it, and I guess some people see that as maybe a good thing, but it also kind of removes what we have currently, which is an administrative process, and it becomes more like a courtroom. There's also talk about moving to a single or investigator-only model. So right now, as a Title IX coordinator, I can investigate. I have investigators, but I can investigate, but I'm also involved in the determination. If it's a student conduct issue, then it would go to student life. But in the new model, the Title IX coordinator would not be able to be involved at that level. So merely providing, I guess, administrative oversight for the university's Title IX program. And then there's the concern about just increased costs that would come with having to become compliant with some of these new rules and the resources that we would need to train our people better or more thoroughly than we, in a different aspect, in a different way, if they were having to just to be compliant with particular rules that have been proposed. I can send you a link if you want to read all 144 pages of that proposed rule, but you probably don't. So what's on the horizon? We are in year 4 of 4 of our contract with EverFi, which is our online training provider. I'm hoping that most of you have gone through that training, and I know we have free new faculty, and I will be in touch. We'll soon get you hooked up with the training. We're in the process of migrating to a new course within EverFi for our faculty and staff, our new hires. But hey, again, if you want a refresher, let me know. It's a little bit different feel to the training. The content's not much different, but it just has a different look to it. And it's always good to have a refresher. We can open that up to everybody if we need to. But primarily it's meant for new faculty and staff. We will still have the same training for students, and that will be rolled out in September after we establish who actually is a student here. I'm really looking forward to working with our new VP for Student Life, Dr. Chris Confer. He is well-versed in Title IX. He was a coordinator at one of the institutions he was before. He's written trainings. He's offered to do some trainings with us. And so I'm really looking forward to that collaborative relationship, as I had with Dr. Joe Brockington before his retirement. And I just finally wanted to say, well, maybe it's not finally. I'll see how many minutes I have left. I'm looking forward to your continued support. Some of you have reached out to me when you've had to make a student referral, and I really appreciate that. That means you're remembering what you learned in the training. And, and then, you've also had questions, and I'm always happy to answer those questions. So I appreciate, and I really, again, appreciate those who serve on the Title IX committee and also as investigators. I know we haven't had a lot of activity. That's a good thing, I think. But also, if there's barriers that are, that we may have in our institution that need to be broken down so that there is, the students feel comfortable coming forward to report, then we need to address that as well. And that would be an engagement piece that we'd want to talk about. I think I was going to leave you with this. I wanted to, I'm not trying to, this isn't, I promise you, this is not a gotcha moment, okay? But one of the things that I wanted to make clear, wanted to make sure that you guys were clear about is what your role was as a member of the faculty, or even I know we have some staff that your role is primarily staff, but you have faculty status. And I was going to just ask you, how many of you believe that you are confidential resources? In other words, a student can come to you and in complete confidence share something with you, and you don't have an obligation to report it. Oh, you guys are great. Great. I just want to remind you that if you ever do have a student come to you, you're actually, as a member of our faculty, you are what we call a responsible employee. In other words, a student, if a student has reasonably believes that you have the authority or duty to report an incident on their behalf, then you're a responsible employee. And pretty much we paint a broad stroke, and all of our employees are responsible employees, but we do have a handful that are considered confidential resources. So if a student comes to you and they say, something terrible happened to me last night, I think I was raped, or I'm experiencing some what I think is sexual harassment, if you can say to them, if you share, information with me, details with me, I'm going to have to report it. But you can go talk to counseling services. You can, if you need medical attention, you can talk to the university nurse. You can see Ken Dill. You can see Scott Williams. Where is he? Actually, where is he? Oh, he is our one confidential resource in the room. Did you raise your hand?
I did.
Okay, so and Scott serves as our online chaplain, so that makes him a confidential resource. And don't think that that sexual harassment or stalking or any of those kind of things couldn't happen in an online environment. They can. So anyways, I want to stop there and thank you again for your time letting me talk, and I appreciate again what you do on the front lines with our students and your relationship with your students. Thank you so much.